Just a few years ago, the Island Boys were on top of the world. Two tattooed twins, freestyling in a swimming pool with the words, "I'm an island boy."
Island boy, and I've been trying to make. Oh, I'm an island boy. I'm a just island boy. I'm a just island boy.
Echoing across TikTok. It was ridiculous, it was bizarre, and it was unforgettable. For a brief moment, Frankie and Alex Venegas became two of the most recognizable faces on the internet. But just as quickly as they went viral, they went broke, controversial, and ultimately became the perfect example of how fast internet fame can destroy you if you don't know how to handle it. Because when you look back at the Island Boys, you realize their entire career was doomed from the start. They weren't loved because of talent. They were watched because of how ridiculous they were. Their rise wasn't based on respect, it was based on mockery. And as countless viral stars before them have proven, you can't build a sustainable career off being a joke. The Island Boys' real names are Frankie and Alex Venegas, twins from Florida who had been chasing fame for years before their breakout moment. Like many kids growing up in the SoundCloud rap era, they styled themselves after rappers, covering their bodies in tattoos and giving themselves outlandish hairstyles. They uploaded music online, built small social media followings, and constantly sought attention by any means necessary. But despite their efforts, they remained virtually unknown. That all changed in October 2021, when they posted the infamous poolside freestyle. The video immediately spread across TikTok, not because people thought it was good, but because of how bad it was. Their offbeat flow, nonsensical lyrics, and over-the-top look made the clip irresistible to share. Everyone was talking about it, from casual users to celebrities. In just days, the Island Boys went from complete nobodies to viral sensations. But the problem with going viral for being ridiculous is that the audience isn't laughing with you. They're laughing at you. And the Island Boys didn't seem to understand that difference. Instead of capitalizing on the meme by leaning into comedy or reinventing themselves with actual music, they doubled down on the exact thing that made people mock them in the first place. They started live streaming non-stop, flaunting cash, jewelry, and cars, and constantly talking down to their haters. It was entertaining for a while, but it quickly grew stale. Still, in those early weeks, it looked like the twins were going to make something of it. They signed deals, were invited to podcasts, and even started charging hundreds of dollars for cameos, making personalized videos for fans. They appeared on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, which could have been a massive opportunity. But instead of winning people over, they ended up storming off mid-interview after clashing with the hosts. The moment went viral, but not in a way that helped them. They came across as arrogant, immature, and unable to take criticism. That became a running theme. Whenever the Island Boys had a chance to prove they were more than just a meme, they squandered it by lashing out, getting into fights, or behaving erratically. Their music, when released, was ridiculed for being repetitive and unpolished. Their live performances were disasters, often met with boos from the crowd. Instead of building credibility, every appearance seemed to chip away at what little respect they had left. Meanwhile, money problems began catching up with them. Viral fame brings quick cash, but without financial literacy, it disappears just as quickly. The Island Boys spent recklessly on chains, grills, and rented cars, trying to maintain an image of success. But behind the scenes, they were already falling apart. Reports surfaced of them losing houses, cars being repossessed, and their cameo rates dropping as demand dried up. What was once a money-making machine turned into a scramble to hold on to any shred of income. The downfall wasn't just financial. Their personal lives also became part of the spectacle. Clips of the brothers arguing, physically fighting, and falling out with friends spread across TikTok. They built a reputation for chaos, constantly beefing with other influencers in order to stay relevant. Instead of reinventing themselves, They resorted to controversy, hoping that staying in the headlines would keep their careers alive. And it worked, to an extent. The Island Boys never fully disappeared, but the kind of attention they were getting was almost entirely negative. In many ways, they became the definition of internet clowns. People tuned in not to see what new music they had released, but to watch the latest meltdown, fight, or bizarre stunt. By 2023, their careers were in ruins. They weren't topping charts, they weren't respected in the music industry, and they weren't making headlines for anything positive. They were simply known as the Island Boys, a meme that had long since expired. Yet somehow, they kept finding ways to generate attention. At one point, rumors circulated that they had turned to OnlyFans to make money, sparking controversy online. Clips of strange live streams where they blurred the lines of brotherly behavior went viral, once again drawing in viewers for all the wrong reasons. Instead of progressing, the Island Boys leaned deeper into shock value, sacrificing whatever credibility they had left for temporary clicks. Looking back, the Island Boys' story feels almost inevitable. They went viral for something ridiculous, and rather than reinvent themselves, they tried to make that ridiculousness their entire brand. When the world moved on, they were left with nothing but controversy, bad press, and a reputation that made it impossible to be taken seriously. But perhaps the most fascinating part of their story is how desperately they've tried to cling to relevance. Most viral stars fade into obscurity quietly. The Island Boys have refused to do that. They continue to post, to stir up drama, and to chase attention, even if it means humiliating themselves in the process. And in that sense, they're not just a failed viral act. They're a cautionary tale about what happens when fame becomes more important than dignity. The Island Boys had the world's attention for a moment, but instead of building a career, they built a spectacle, and in the end, that spectacle collapsed, leaving them with nothing but the memory of a viral video in a swimming pool and the harsh reality that internet fame doesn't last forever.